Okay, welcome to day 3 of the exciting Svidler Gelfand match. We are now after games 5 and 6. The day started with Gelfand being behind 1 point. Gelfand retaliated, winning game 5 playing black. And then Svidler won again in game 6, himself playing black. And so Svidler remains ahead. Before we commentate the interesting games played today, I will continue the tradition of asking you some questions as warm-up.
Our pleasure.
Good. So, Boris, first question to you. Do you dream about chess and think about chess moves when you are asleep?
It's a very good question. I remember what I can say for sure that once, I remember very well, I played in my first Olympiad. I still played for a team of Soviet Union, my only Olympic gold medal, because with Israeli team I got silver and bronze. And at that time we still had a joint game, and I had with Bulgarian Grandmaster Kirill Georgiev, and during my dreams I found a win. Because position was close to win, I went to sleep during my win. Also a few times I found some novelties while napping or sleeping, I don't know. But it's not very common, yeah. Or maybe I dream, but I don't remember when I wake up, yeah. Also possible. But recently probably, yeah. I cannot recall if I dreamt recently. Maybe.
And how about you, Peter?
I get chess dreams regularly. Generally they are nonsense. It's basically some random position pops into my head, which on many occasions it relates to nothing in particular. It's just some random set of pieces on the board, and I just continue analyzing as if this position means something. And sometimes it's a game I'm playing. Chess is a bit of a brain virus. It does stay with you.
It happens to me in the daytime. Some strange position with no relation pops up, and you keep on thinking about it.
You can't get rid of it.
With no practical purpose, yeah, but just you're curious, yeah.
Yeah, this happens a lot.
Thank you. Next question is a little bit personal. What do your wife's parents think about your profession, Boris? Do they appreciate it?
My wife's parents, yeah, they appreciate it. Because, it's not very, but, they come from Soviet Union. Their chess was appreciated. But my wife's grandmother didn't appreciate it. At the beginning, she didn't understand what is this and what's going on. But then she appreciated me as a person, so the issue was resolved, yeah.
Do you mind answering that?
Not at all, yeah. I think we generally, for people from the Soviet Union, this is not such a huge issue because chess still retains, especially for people from the older generations, chess still is, something to maybe even aspire to become a chess player. So this has never been a problem for me, really.
But I can tell you a story. Once, 15 years ago, Vladimir Kramnik visited me in Rishon. We went to a shop to buy some vegetables. And the shop owner, he knew me. And we met a friend, says, you have been honored, before he became world champion even, he says, the guy who is number 2 in the world, guy number 6 in the world, in your shop, in chess, says, very nice. And what are they doing in life?
Yeah, that question people do ask you, not generally your relatives or your wife's relatives, but random people, let's say taxi drivers, they ask you what you do for a living. You say, I'm a chess player. Yeah, but what do you do for a living?
Yeah.
That's a very, very normal conversation you get all the time.
But I have to admit that the shop owner, since then, he didn't sell me no one bad apple, no one bad potatoes, only perfect quality. For in 15 years.
All right, I'll now ask you some professional questions. Boris, how important is it to you during a match to analyze the body language of your opponent? Are you doing that to try to sense if there is a trap or if the opponent is up to your plans and so on?
It's an interesting question, but first of all, we know each other very well, so more or less we can sense. but also what's more important, but also we know how to avoid it. So
Yeah.
the more I try to focus more on the what's going on the board to sense if it's a trap or not, because it's I wouldn't get deceived by, let's say, innocent-looking way
Yeah.
when the position is when I can smell a danger in the position.
What
And
would you say?
also, first of all, yes, I mean, you can't really get away with it at this level. You know, all the usual tricks of, you know, setting a trap and then, you know, finishing your move, banging on the clock and doing, like, you know, like you blundered something. This you can only do when you're 10, you know, and not at this level, generally speaking. And also, you know, chess is a game with complete information. So bluffing is
Do you pause and look at your opponent's face sometimes?
sometimes, but it's considered to be somewhat impolite. It's not a complete breach of etiquette, but it's, you know, staring at your opponent when he's thinking is not
sneaking a glance.
Sneaking a glance is okay, but sort of a long stare is definitely, you know, something people frown upon. And generally speaking, today, for instance, you know, Boris could have made a conclusion that I'm extremely uncomfortable. I mean, in game 1 it was true, but also in game 2, when in fact I just did something to my neck in the morning, and you know, I kept on doing this, but I'm just in pain. So it's not that easy to judge whether, you know, this is to do with the position or just general discomfort. So and as I said, chess is a game of complete information as opposed to, let's say, poker. So, you know, looking for tails is less important than working out what's going on.
Okay, my next question, also professional. How does it affect you psychologically when you are behind in the match, like you were this morning, but you eventually won? But does it encourage you to play more aggressively, or does it discourage you and hurt morale?
Well, the best, and I'm trying to do it, is to keep on playing like it's first game of the match. And I played many matches, and it was always my ambition to do it. Sometimes I succeeded, sometimes not. But here also I try to play like, okay, it's the next game, you have to be ready to be focused, to have full concentration during the game, to try to play a good game. Of course, but okay, I think also it helps that, okay, I played so many times, and okay, experience tells that you can win, I don't know, 3 first games in a tournament and then collapse. So you can start poorly and then recover and do well at the end. So that's what I try to do, to not to depend on these emotions. Yeah.
Yeah, Peter, I can ask you the same question because you lost in the first match and you seemed very eager to start the second one.
It's just my general approach to this match, in fact. My idea coming here was to, I think it's rather obvious that I am not playing my mainline openings here. Not because I am, you know, this is no disrespect to Boris or this event. I'm just trying to, you know, see if I can pick up something new and if something else fits me as well. And also, it's a conscious attempt to play positions I'm perhaps not as familiar with, to push myself, because, you know, playing something I've played, like the Grunfeld, I've played for the past 25 years. I more or less know what's going on. Not that it bores me now, but, you know, doing something else is interesting every now and then. So, for instance, you know, the opening choice for Game 5, for the first game of the day today, considering I was leading in the match, is perhaps not the wisest, but I just felt that, you know, my whole approach here is to play interesting positions, perhaps risky positions, perhaps not entirely correct positions from the, you know, academic point of view, just to test myself and to see, you know, to see what will happen, basically. So here in particular, I'm trying not to get it influenced by the match situation at all. But in general, Boris is a, you know, immeasurably more experienced match player than I am. I've played, I mean, talking of long matches, I played almost none at all. So I played obviously in a number of World Cups and tournaments like this, but those are short matches where when you lose the first game, you can't really ignore it in the second game because it will be the last one. But long matches where you can sort of plan a strategy and try and decide whether you need to start taking risks now or in the next game. Those I haven't played at all almost in my entire career, so I am not really the person to ask.
Okay, let's dive into game 5, where you were playing white.
Yeah, I'll send it over to Boris because I think I've been talking a bit too much. We need to try and remedy it somehow.
I have a chance today, yeah?
Possibly. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I always start with this intention and then it always, evolves into a monologue. I apologize for that. It's just,
Yeah, we start same move order like game 1 and 3, and then we return into mainline Grunfeld. And Queen b3 is one of the sharpest systems. And here black can of course play bishop g7, e4, and transpose to, because white can start off with
there are some minor differences, but in general it normally transposes to mainline Grunfeld.
Mainline Grunfeld. But here also it gives an interesting option, bishop e6 and bishop d7, a pawn sacrifice. It's very dangerous to take on b6, but
Yeah.
how you...
Yeah, queen b7
knight c6 is dangerous.
Yeah, this is just not very good. Knight c6 with the idea
Rook
of
b8,
knight
knight b4.
Yeah, this is a
It's
really...
a common theme. Whenever Gelfand sacrifices, you move on, and you.
Well, not exactly. I am a Grunfeld player, this is my day job, so I am aware of this line. I know you cannot take on
Yeah.
b7, so I didn't really spend any time on
Yeah,
it.
sure.
No,
Yeah, Peter was playing Grunfeld when no one else was playing
not
last
exactly.
25 years.
Not exactly.
And I joined like only before my match with Anand, only 3 years ago I picked up this opening. So Queen b3 and c5. Actually, it's what I remember, and it's surprising that first time it was played in 1940 in game Smyslov-Rogozin.
36, I think.
36, Smyslov-Rogozin.
Smyslov variation.
No, Smyslov was...
Smyslov was white actually in that game.
Smyslov was white in this game, but against Queen b3 he invented another variation, Bishop g4, I think. This system is called Smyslov, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, which is slightly out of fashion now, but Smyslov actually was a player who deviated a lot in the opening. His contribution was not in one special opening, but in many. And Rogozin was a long time trainer and second of Botvinnik, especially in matches against Smyslov later on. So it's a story. But Smyslov also played d5.
Yeah, d takes c5 is possible. For instance, I think it's a game between Carlsen and Ivanchuk, but that wasn't the whole point. I mean, after d takes
also
c5...
Leko played last year with black and got decent
d takes
position.
c5 will eventually be very, very close to equality. You get normal Grunfeld positions. My idea was to play d5 here because despite what will happen in about 5 moves time, I did have a look at this position quite as, well, not, a whole week dedicated to this position, but I did have a look at this position at some point from the black side, basically, for general knowledge, and also I included it in my videos. And of course, black is, you can't really pretend you're better doing this because white is a pawn up and it's a reasonably healthy pawn, but a development advantage of this magnitude should normally be at least enough for equality. And now, I'm not trying to say white is better here, but getting a completely lost position in about 3 moves was a bit reckless here.
Yeah, all the moves are with the white queen, and
Yeah,
no development.
white is wasting a lot of time. But in fact, I think one more move with the queen had to be made here. You basically have to start with queen d1, and later on, the problem is, f3 will have to be played, because at some point you absolutely have to stop knight e4. And I remembered that, and I thought it doesn't really matter what I start with, because I thought if I play f3 here, which is what I did, Boris will play rook b8, and I will play queen d1, and this is the position I had some ideas about. Once again, I'm not claiming this is better for white, but it's a playable position, and I suspected I might know a little bit more about it than Boris, even though objectively black is fine. So that was my aim, but I started basically with the second line of the variation, thinking it will not make any difference, and I think it does. rather drastic difference, actually. And from this moment on, Boris played an exemplary game. I probably could have improved somewhere, but I don't think Boris's play can be improved upon at any point.
I didn't say. I hoped I could.
Well, you could have maybe won slightly quicker
Yeah.
in the very end, but it doesn't really matter because every move wins.
Let's continue.
Yeah, and c4, I like this move because it's typical Grunfeld move. Yeah, you give up another pawn, but you get development.
No,
Because
this I of course considered. It's
yeah,
one of
because
the
queen c4, it's I don't think it's good because rook c8.
Rook c8,
Or
queen
maybe knight b4 immediately.
no, queen c4 I didn't really consider for 1
Yeah,
second.
rook d1 and now e6.
Yeah, that was
It's
what
a
I
trick that we don't
misunderstood.
waste time on bishop g7, but put bishop joins the game immediately, and probably would go to c5. How you make this nice arrow?
Yeah, that way.
And attack this diagonal to
Yeah,
cover.
and queen b6, and this
queen
is a
b6.
huge problem. Already here, I'm not sure, White can, well, saying survive is maybe an overstatement, but I do feel like, we're talking about something like this. I think maybe I should play bishop d2. We were discussing this with Boris. I think basically what happened here is I played d4 almost immediately because whilst Boris spent some time on both c4 and d6, and I, of course, was thinking about all the options available for black apart from rook b8, and c4 is one of the main ones, of course. And I thought about this position, and I thought e4, e5, e5 works. And then something really stupid happened to me because I realized why there is a problem with this line. But once Boris actually played those moves, I completely forgot about it for a second, and I just blitzed out e4, e5, and then I think I can more or less resign. So I think I should play bishop d2, but after both, let's say e d5, knight e4, queen b6, this is the simplest way. Takes, bishop c3 and bishop b4. Okay, I can play queen d2 here and then e3, knight e2, but I'm trying to survive here. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. It's an open question. And also, a very dangerous alternative here is just to play queen b6, I think.
b6 is a good.
Once again, with this huge threat of bishop c5 and bishop f2 mate, actually. So this is not that much fun for White, to put it
So
mildly.
many black pieces are
Yeah,
in,
to put it mildly, this is not
attack.
much fun. Maybe I can do something like this. I was, kind of briefly thinking about these things. But even, let's say, takes, and king f8, I have a feeling this will be lost for White.
maybe
because-
e7, no?
Oh, he doesn't really. I mean, somewhere. But the point is, with this development and with king on e1, which
No,
cannot really
long
go
castle, not so severe.
Yeah, no, this is better than what I got. This is definitely what I should have done, but still not fun. But what I did is just, basically what happened was, I went d4, takes, and d5, and after d4, only here I remembered that after queen takes d4, there is knight b4.
Night before.
And in this position, unfortunately, knight c2 is, such a super fork, then I can more or less resign. Because I can't protect the c2 square without giving up the e5 pawn with check. So basically everything just collapses immediately. There is no way to continue here. So that was a bit of a drawback to my original plan.
And that's why I spent my time thinking on c4. I had to be sure of knight b4.
And basically,
Because first I thought bishop c5, etc.
this-
Also probably playable, but when you say long castle,
yeah, this is.
oh no,
Whoop,
no, oh wow.
That's interesting. That shouldn't be legal, but yeah, this is where we are. Basically, after bishop c5, queen c4, game continues. Once again, I'm not claiming any advantage for White or anything, but game definitely
Also
continues.
long castle came up
Long
to my
castles
mind.
is okay,
But knight
legal.
before, once you find knight
but the
before,
problem-
you
yeah.
can stop calculating here.
And as I said, I mean, I briefly reached this position, told myself this is very dangerous, need to recheck, and forgot to recheck, which is kind of ridiculous, but happens occasionally. And from that moment on, basically it's conversion phase, and I think Boris converted in a extremely efficient fashion. I more or less have to make these two extremely.
I can also take on c3, which is also good
yeah,
enough.
but
Long
that,
castle was a nice aggressive.
But I thought it's
Yes.
ambitious.
that at least.
No, not queen f6, queen e5 check.
Queen e5 check, queen e2, I thought, no?
Queen e2 and take on e2.
Yeah, you could do that, but
Somehow I lose the pace.
no, this I might actually survive.
Knight b4.
And knight d4, yeah, I was thinking about this. This I might actually survive.
No, castle.
Rook c1.
Rook c1. Yeah, maybe. I was not that sure.
This suddenly becomes a game, you know.
Yeah.
I would have been very happy about this, but unfortunately,
No, long castle,
Yeah,
when
long
you
castle.
see it, you...
yeah, no, you just realize this is dead because
You have
basically
Bishop
bishop
a4
a4 is the
is
No,
a
bishop
deadly
a4,
threat.
yeah, I thought initially I thought I can take because
No.
queen c3, bishop d2 is fine because there's
No,
rook
no,
c1
no,
in
but
the end.
it's something
Yeah, but bishop
different.
a4 just wins.
Bishop
on,
a4.
yes.
Bishop a4 just wins on the spot because there's rook d1 check. And if after king f2, bishop c5, I mean, we can continue, but we don't really need to. It just looks so ugly. From here on in,
Bishop d2 is...
yeah, I thought I
must-
should do this, but once again, you know, queen e2, rook e8 is impossible, so I have to box in my queen as well. And okay,
Queen d1, rook d2. Queen
yeah,
d1.
I mean, if you give me 3 moves here, maybe I will have a position I will hope to hold. Maybe even 2 moves. If I can play knight e2, knight d4 here, maybe I will have some reasonable hopes of getting out of the opening. But yeah, not going to happen.
Check also important move, because
I think
you
other
attempted
moves-
to go with knight, but okay, I think it's
Yeah, but
forcing matters, because knight e2, knight c5,
yeah, this is
bishop e3, rook
This is
d1.
very,
so-
very clean. I thought this was a very clean solution. Knight d3 and rook d3, and then pieces will come out.
Yeah, rook queen b1 is senseless, so take that.
Yeah. Nobody would really blame me if I resigned here, but
And if rook f4, then
which bishop or knight?
no. If bishop f4, I simply take on
Queen d5. I think.
queen d5,
Queen
yeah.
d5 and rook f3 is
Yeah.
unstoppable.
And if knight f4,
rook e8, I thought already.
no, yeah, any move, yeah,
Any
no
move,
threats.
really, I mean.
Knight g3, and now,
But once again, I
Rook
mean,
d8,
queen e1, queen d5 was also winning on
and
the
if
spot.
bishop f4, rook d, no, bishop
Rook
f4,
d1 is fine. Yeah.
rook d1, and then take. And
No,
take
but
it.
here basically we don't really need to talk much about this
Yeah.
position. Also here instead of bishop e3, queen d5, I was also planning to shake your hand.
it
But
was
Yeah,
hopeless.
yeah.
exemplary game played by Boris, somewhat spoiled by my mixing up of the move order, but it's not Boris's fault. So he played a very, very publishable game. Let's put it like this. You know, goes into any newspaper tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it will go into some newspapers. I'm not entirely happy about that, but
But you
only myself to blame. So
struck back and recovered pretty quickly.
I did manage to win game 2, and game 2 was, in terms of average quality, was slightly better than game 1. But
So let's take a break of 2 minutes.
Sure.